Oh, everybody. Whoa, I don't know what happened to my voice. Can you be in two places at the same time? And are you scared when you walk out into that dark hallway because of a horror movie you saw or something you feel? We're going to cover both those topics this evening, and I hope that you all join in and actively participate, especially when we're doing the part about being in two places at the same time, because I'm going to actually have you do an exercise with me. Welcome to Two Psychics and Intuitive Teachers Hour. Chris is on vacation, so I'm flying solo this week. We did say we were going to do two shows a month, but we got so many people saying, "Where are you? Where are you?" that we realize if we are going to stick to our mission, which is to demonstrate intuition is easy, safe, useful, and fun, we should be on here every week. So you got us, guys. We're here, and we are going to show you a lot of really fun stuff tonight, or I am. Shauna, love you. Thanks for being back on. And Teresa, good evening. Thanks for joining us. I don't recognize your name, so you're kind of new. A little bit about me. I'm Nora Truscello. I'm a two-time best-selling author on Amazon in several categories. And these are my books. Chris always gets mad that I don't show them enough. The books are on intuition, on psychic ability, and spirituality, everything we talk about in this show. So, um, I really want to jump right into a little bit of the first part, but I'm getting so distracted with the highs. Hi, Lori. So good to see you. Okay, so let's get right down to business because I only have 1 hour and we're covering a bunch of stuff. Yes or no? Can you be in two places at the same time? I want to see a little bit of answers there. Don't be afraid. There's no right or wrong answer. It really is a matter of what you believe and what you think you're capable of, not capable of. But anyway, can you be in two places? Come on, guys. Somebody give me an answer. Can you be in two places at the same time? Now, I got a whole bunch of viewers up there right now. And yes, Teresa, yes. Shauna, I think you can. You can. Okay, so let's talk about my little notepad keeps slipping down. I'm sorry. Laurie says yes, and that's because Laurie has a built-in awesome teacher, Chris. So, what is it to be able to be in two places at one time? My favorite person. Yes, Teresa, Paula, thank you guys. Everybody's saying yes. You guys are on the same board as I am. My favorite teacher in this subject is Russell Targ, Limitless Mind. And by teacher, I mean I've read everything he's done. I have not met him. I have not done classes with him. I've watched everything there is on YouTube about him. If you ever saw the movie The Men Who Stare at Goats, a lot of people think that that was almost a comedy. That was based on Russell Targ's actual work for the US government. So you can be in two places, and there's two ways you can be in two places. One, the way Russell talks about it, which is remote viewing. I think that is the safest, most awesome way to do it. And we're going to remote view this evening. I'm going to get you guys to do it with me, anybody who's on this live feed. And even if you're not on the live feed and you are watching this in a repeat, do it. It doesn't matter. There is no time and space. You will be able to pick up the energy that is here now when we do this. So, remote viewing is extremely simple in that it's takes the philosophy from the Buddha. Everything is one. There's no time and space. We're all in this moment and there's nothing else. They call it non-local awareness or naked awareness. I just I like to think of it a little bit differently, but it's the same process. This is how I grasp it. As somebody who's not sitting on a mountain and being able to meditate for hours on end, just a basic guy, I say, okay, if I'm not really here physically, as they say, where am I? All right, so I'm going to imagine I'm up in this universal source of energy. I'm in heaven. But my energy is being channeled into the earth. So I sort of imagine myself up in heaven and I'm a puppeteer. And I am directing this body down here, this matter, to do as I energetically am projecting. Well, I'm kind of losing my train of thought on how I wanted to get to this, but there is no, okay, please excuse me, I'm like having a brain fart. There was a reason why I wanted to use the puppet analogy. So, okay, I had this down pat and I knew how I wanted to explain it. But what we're going to do is, um, I have several objects on my desk, but I'm only going to focus on one object. And I want everybody participating, everybody who's on this live feed, because you're going to blow yourselves away with how simple this is. I'm going to ask you to just relax, close your eyes. Don't do it yet. And then I'm going to say, first image, put it down. First image. Now, if the image is a straight line, don't label it pencil. Don't label it pen. Don't label it scissor, because it's a straight line. It's a straight line. That's all you want to put down, straight line. If it's a circle, don't say, a crystal, a roll of tape. I'm trying to think of things with circles. Yes, I do have crystals sitting on my desk. I even have a little snowman. But I want you to just put circle, because if you label it, it then loses its non-awareness state. You want to be as basic as possible. So don't do it yet, Melissa. So you want to keep it as basic as possible. I'm sorry, I'm like all over the place this evening. I get so excited. I just want to I want to grab everybody and shake you and get into this. So we're going to do this real simple, basic exercise. I want you all to just close your eyes. I am going to just take a moment and really focus on the object and just start writing down your first instincts. Okay, open your eyes whenever you want, but start jotting it down. I'd love to see it in the feed. What do you see? What did you think you saw? Now, while you're doing this, in your mind, pick it up. You don't have to keep your eyes closed. You can keep your eyes closed. It's what's comfortable to you. Pick up the object in your mind that I am focused on. What does it feel like? Is it hot? Is it cold? Is it flexible? Is it sturdy? And, just give yourself don't identify the object. Okay, we got a rectangle shape from somebody. Keep going, guys. Let's throw these things out there, and I'm going to show you what it is. Don't be afraid about, oh, no, I don't want to put it out there. I don't want to look like I made a mistake. Play. Use your imagination. Play. Challenge yourself. It's half the fun. This is how you discover things. So keep going. You got a rectangle. Can you put anything else to it? If you got a straight line, a circle, a twist, something flexible, just keep adding whatever you have, because this will help you get it. All right, plastic blue. Keep focusing, guys. I am focused on what is here. And I'm going to give it one more minute just to give you all an opportunity, even those who don't want to put it on the feed. This is great, guys. You are doing awesome. Okay, I'm going to show you this. And even though a lot of you did not participate, that's fine. Linear and rigid. This is great. Okay, this is an antique letter opener. Notice it's not quite rectangular, it's more triangular, but I can see where you might have started to get that. It is definitely a straight edge. It's cold to touch. It is hard, linear, rigid, cold. I'm thinking scissors. Yeah, don't think scissors. You were better off with thinking hard and kind of tough. That was excellent. That gave you more information. When we identify it with a word, we limit it right away. We immediately take away what's available out there. Now, you guys just did this with no training, none, zero, zip, no training, cool and smooth. Yes, it also was twisty. So if anybody who didn't put it in the feed kind of felt like rope, it is a twisty old pattern on here. I don't know if you can see it. Well, I just want to make sure you all get that. It's somewhat triangular shape. So if you didn't put all your stuff down, I want you to get all the points of this. My point is, intuition is that easy. You guys nailed it beautifully. And you had no training from me, but a 30-second instruction as to what to do. This is what makes intuition and being able to tap into these resources. They're precious, they're simple. And Russell Targ actually says, what does he say about psychics? Give me a second. I just thought it was so funny. Psychics are not sacred. We're not. Psychics are not sacred. Who is this guy? For those who don't know, he started off as a scientist in a laser field. And he had this laser that could do, I'm guessing, it was like 100 times the amount of what the US government was capable of doing. And his machine was significantly smaller. And he had to prove to these scientists that this was possible, and with his laser, and he did. And once he proved that that was possible, he then somehow started getting into the psychic information and psychic things and wanted to study more of it. And he actually got the government to back a lot of the studies he did. And for over 20 years, they gave him grants, and tons of research was done for the government, for the CIA, for all our intelligence agencies. And if you ever watch the stuff he's done on YouTube, it'll blow you away how accurate they are. And they have, some of these people had no training, just like you guys. They just did it. And what he's discovered is what I always said, and I always believed. Intuition isn't a gift. It's just a natural way of being that some of us decide to use and others ignore. And you guys all got to see that just now. So I'm so excited. So yes, you just were in two places at the same time. You were in your home, yet in your mind, you were here at my desk picking up my antique little opener. By the way, it says forged from ROBLING wire rope. So if anyone got lettering, that's what the lettering says. So don't, I didn't want to miss that tip too, to make sure you got it all. Now, how else can you be in two places at the same time? There is another way, and this is called being bilocating. I am not a fan of bilocating. I go into detail in the science of intuition as to why I'm not a fan of bilocating. Is it possible? Is it real? Yes. I am not a fan because it's very real. The Padre Pio, he's a Catholic saint. Back in World War II, he never left this little tundra, this little monk place that he stayed. You think I'd know the vocabulary of where monks stay and stuff. I am a Catholic. No, no clue. So this little monastery in this Italian village. He never left this place. And one day, the Germans were supposed to be bombing his town, and the Allies and the American Air Force was coming in to bomb this little town because the Germans were not going to bomb it. The Americans were under the impression the Germans had occupied it. So they were coming in to bomb it. Now, the Germans did not occupy it. And the people went running to Padre Pio and said, please help us, help us. We don't want to be bombed. You know, there's nobody here. Monastery, thank you, Melissa. I will take any and all help from you guys. So Padre Pio bilocated. This is a true story. It is actually in the United States Air Force records, in the historical documents. The whole entire fleet comes flying in to bomb this town, and they see a monk in the sky, just floating in the sky with his hands open. And the pilots were like, oh, we got to turn around. There is a monk in the sky. At that same exact moment, though, Padre Pio was in the church speaking with people. And they documented it. They have the time, they have the day. He was in both places at the same exact time. That's by locating. He's a saint. I say, leave it to the saints. Chris uses this technique all the time. I wish she was here to explain to you. She's very comfortable with it. I used to use it all the time, especially when I have clients. Like I had some clients in Texas that really were struggling. And I go into detail in the book why I didn't do it, but I'm going to quickly explain to you now that story. I would bilocate regularly. That's how I would help people. I would be in my chair. When you do this technique, you physically know you are in the room, but you also physically know you are somewhere else, wherever you project yourself to be. You see what's going on there. You sense what's going on there. You are not seen there all the time. Now, some people might pick it up, like those pilots. It was Padre Pio's intention to be seen. They saw him. I was not seen when I would bilocate. People would be like, I know Nora's here, or I feel like she's stopping in, but they wouldn't see me. So it is not a very difficult technique. No intuitive technique is difficult. It's just how much risk do you want to take? So I was helping a client, and we settled the case, took care of something for her. And I'm on my way to work. This is like 2 years later. And I get this hunch in my head. Oh, I want to learn more about Malachi Martin. Like that came out of the blue. For those who don't know, Malachi Martin was the lead psychic for the Vatican. Hostage to the Devil was one of his biggest books. It's all based on true exorcisms. And he exposed the Catholic Church in a lot of ways on the evil that had actually gotten into it and has started to rot it. But anyhow, this thought just pops into my head. So I go to work and I have my own office. So while I'm working, I listen to different things on YouTube, and I'm listening to an interview from Coast to Coast where he was talking to Malachi Martin. And I'm enjoying everything. I'm learning a whole bunch of stuff. And all of a sudden, this priest says, Malachi Martin says, don't ever bilocate. Never, ever. It's just not okay. I mean, it was like he was yelling it. And I started yelling back at my computer. What do you mean, don't do it? And I have a lot of people like this. What's the big deal? And I'm arguing with a video recording that's over 20 years old. The guy's deceased, but it didn't matter. I know this works for me. It's worked for my clients. Why wouldn't I do it? Blah, blah, blah. And then I had that intuitive duh moment. Wait a minute. Why all of a sudden did I want to listen to Malachi Martin? And why all of a sudden is this such an issue? 10 minutes later, my phone rings. It's the client from Texas 2 years ago. That client said, I'd like you to do what you did before, whatever that thing was, and help me out. And in that moment, I realized that I was paying attention to the messages that were coming from another source, from a higher source. What I say is my guardian angel, God, warning me, in this situation, you might not want to do that. So I told her, let me think about it, and I will get back with her the next day. I got home, and that next morning, when I usually would do my cleanup work and help clients, I would sit in my meditation chair. I felt my spirit immediately want to lift and go, because that's just what I always did. And I was like, no, you got to stay back. No, you got to stay back. Hold back, hold back. And instead of bilocating, I did more of a remote viewing. And as I was doing it, I got hit with such a force of negative energy. It was fiercely evil that if I was bilocating, I am absolutely sure I would have physically been harmed. And I was so grateful that I listened to the hunch, to listen to that recording of Malachi Martin, and that, my spirits, my angels were messaging me, don't remote view for this woman. So I called her up and I told her my experience. And I said, I would basically say you need an exorcism. It's seldom that I get such a negative force, but that was pure evil. And I'm not trained for that. I don't want to be trained for that. I suggest you get an exorcist. And her answer to me was, that's exactly what the priest said. They had already started the process. But I was hoping you would just come in and take care of it like you did before. It's like, yeah, okay, thanks, lady. That being said, I don't like to bilocate. I don't use it anymore. Chris loves it. She doesn't have a problem with it. I can still do it. So can you. I do explain in the book how to do these things, but you don't need to. Just as we did this real quick example with 1 minute of instruction. Can you imagine if you had an hour worth of instruction, an hour of encouragement, not to label it, don't label it, just give your your first insights. Have fun with it. Have somebody in your house put something in a brown bag and not tell you what it is. When I used to teach a lot, I would teach in my home and we would do that. And we would do it where I wouldn't even know what was in the bag. One of my sons would go get something, put it in a bag, and then bring it into the classroom. So, into the area we were teaching. So I too would have no idea. And it was fun. It's just fun. Practice it. You'll have a great time. Oh, Albert, I'm glad you're on. I hope everything's going well. Could this be similar? Teresa, she's asking, let me grab this, be similar to having an out-of-body experience? I have moments when I physically know where I am, but I can sense things from other locations. Yes, exactly. You could be bilocating, because I physically know where I am, but I have a sense of things from other locations, but most likely you are remote viewing. And that's great. I mean, play with it, encourage yourself. When somebody's going away, a friend is, say, going to France, say, on this day at this time, write down what you see. And on that day and at that time, you write down what you're picking up, what you think that person's seeing. Just draw it. Don't try to even write it out. Don't label it. Draw it. Ask your friend to take a picture at that day, at that time of what they're looking at, and then compare it. It is so much fun, and it really isn't difficult at all. Okay, I really went on and on about remote viewing versus bilocating, but it is a great, fun subject. I would recommend strongly reading Limitless Mind if it is something that you want to do. If you want to learn more about it, he makes it so simple. And with that being said, you can get my books at either Amazon and Barnes and Nobles, online, either one. So that's my sales for books. I would definitely look at Limitless Mind and, of course, my two books. Okay. So this is going to lead us right into discernment. See, when you're doing remote viewing or you're doing bilocating, you have to have a strong discernment. And even Russell Targ spoke about the necessity to be discerning. And that brings us into the second part of our conversation. Really understanding discernment is being able to identify the intuitive footprint. So we're going to take a half a minute here, and I'm going to tell you, if you can make it to the in-person live show in South Philadelphia on February 18th, you will not be sorry. I cannot give you what I just did with mind, being able to mind view something, to be able to remote view something. I cannot do what I need to do to have you grasp intuitive footprints, physically have an example of it, the way I could do this remote viewing. But at that show, I promise you, you will physically feel intuitive footprints in a way that you will never forget what they are, and you'll be able to use them. So with that being said, if you go to intuition.com and click on the events calendar, go to February 18th, you'll be able to register. It is extremely inexpensive. Chris and I are not even breaking even, because it is our intent, like we said, to always demonstrate intuition is easy, safe, and useful, and lots of fun. And I really encourage you to come out. I'm going to talk a lot about intuitive footprints right now, so you can understand when you're in that dark hallway. Is it because this dark hallway is very similar to lots of horror shows, or is it really something's there? I mean, I'm going to explain this in detail, but this is something that you would like to physically experience. Come to that show. Come. It's like 3 hours. We're going to spend some time actually experimenting with it, letting you feel it, and then we're going to end with the second half of the afternoon. Chris and I are going to do a gallery read. We're keeping it small, 50 people, so every single person we should be able to speak to for a minute or two, because it's just fun. And this is stuff everybody can do. You guys can do this stuff too. And the more you watch us and the more you follow us, the more you're going to see. And hopefully the more you're going to try it out yourself. Jolene, sleep paralysis. I've experienced this. Sleep paralysis can be several different things, honey. It's not necessarily the spirit leaving the body at that time. It also could be a negative energy holding the body in place, and it also could just be something physical. Nothing to do with the spirituality at all. Teresa, I'm hoping you're there too. That'll be great. Love to see you. And Gina, she's got her tickets. I love it. Yes, thank you so much, Gina. And so let's get into intuitive footprints. What that is a physical sensation somewhere on your body that is unique to you, that identifies for you when you feel it, an emotion that is present in your surroundings. So, if there is the emotion of joy around me, I personally get a physical sensation on the right side of my face. Somebody else might get a feeling like somebody's moving something lightly down their arm. Somebody else their pinky toe might tickle. But you don't notice these subtle things until you practice and concentrate and always be noticing. Or you come to the class like we're going to do, because we create it in such an environment. We bring we settle down all the emotions and we bring in anger and we bring in joy so you can distinguish them for yourself. Now, why is it good to be able to distinguish what anger is versus when you're feeling joy? Well, when you're feeling joy, that is being sourced by love. It's being sourced by God. It's pure. It's safe. When you are sensing anger, it is being sourced by the demonic side of things, the evil side, the dark side. I mean, I use vocabulary that is common to Catholicism and Christianity, demons, angels, uh, God, Satan. Whether you're Catholic, Christian, or not, you still have your own system of how you believe. The good light, the dark light. I don't care. Substitute my words for what works for you. Don't limit yourself by saying, oh, well, forget that stuff. She's all into that Christian stuff. Just change the vocabulary to fit the structure you need, because this is invaluable. When an energy appears, like a lot of people will communicate with angels or they'll communicate with a spirit, if they do not understand subtle intuitive footprints, the subtle energies, they don't know if they're talking to a good source or a dangerous source, an evil one. But if you could feel anger somewhere on your body, you would know, no matter how beautiful that angel is, it's anger sourcing it. So it's hiding. It's like a wolf in sheep's clothing. It's hiding its real intention, and it will mislead you as time goes. So it is imperative, when you want to expand into your intuition and expand into anything. You want to be a ghostbuster. So one of the reasons why I'm doing this is somebody asked, how do you know if a house is haunted or not? Well, if you have a sense of your intuitive footprints, you can sense the energies that are there. Are they good energies, bad energies? Are they helpful energies, harmful energies? Oh, Melissa, I want to answer your question, but let me finish this thought. So, intuitive footprints are invaluable source for those people who want to really move in further into the intuition realm, especially the part where you start communicating with other spirits, mediumship like Chris and I do. We're careful. We protect ourselves. We don't allow anything in that is not coming from a source of joy. But we can identify it if it does and be able to ignore it and send it away. If you're not paying attention to those little subtle intuitive footprints, you can't. So I find the best way to explain what an intuitive footprint is to, even though every footprint is individual to everybody, we all have a couple universal intuitive footprints that are the same for everybody. And one of those, thank you, Judy. I just got a great little message from a friend. One of those is the gut feeling. The gut feeling, we all have it. That gut feeling is an intuitive footprint. It's universal. Everybody has the same one. It lets you know, don't do that. Oh, yeah, 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 go this way, go this way, go this way, go this way. And you don't go that when you're stuck in a traffic jam for 2 hours. Why didn't I listen to myself? um, that gut feeling is an intuitive footprint. It comes, but you just know it. It's there. That's why they call it a gut. The hair on the back of the head is another intuitive footprint. When that hair stands up, it's standing up because something is frightening, something is off, something is not safe. Doesn't mean it's evil, doesn't mean it's out to get you personally. It could be you're about to go across a bridge that isn't safe and it's about to collapse. I mean, that's not personal, it's just physics. Something's wrong with the bridge. So, that hair on the back of your neck, why do we recognize those two intuitive footprints and we don't recognize the others? Is they're universal. Everybody has them. Doesn't matter who you are. You're from China, you're from the US, you're from Lebanon, Mexico, who cares? Everybody's got a gut feeling. Everybody knows what it means to have the hair stand on the back of their head. But there are countless other intuitive footprints that are so, so, so valuable. And those are the ones that will tell you, is this house haunted? Do I feel something that's out of place? So I want to grab some of these questions real quick too, because they are some of them are relating back to the other topic, and I don't want to get you too lost. I want to kind of keep it together. What happens to the soul if it can't get back into the body? Okay, the problem when the soul leaves the body is twofold. When you leave your body, if you don't have yourself properly protected, you are leaving yourself open for another soul to take over, to move in. By another soul, I'm talking about a human soul that did not cross over into the light. So you come back, your body's already occupied. You are now battling to get yourself back. It's a constant struggle. You as the human, you don't ever quite feel right. Or split personalities, all kinds of things. So it is. There is no guarantee. If you don't know what you're doing, don't bilocate. Just remote view. It's simple. You don't have to worry about ever leaving your body. I started a book, One Body, One Soul, because I dealt with so many people that had attachments and parts of other people, spirits and stuff, because they just leave themselves too exposed. And I never completed that book. I might do that one day. All right, Teresa, I've experienced both remote viewing and bilocating, but I'm not comfortable with either. I feel like I'm intruding on others' energy and privacy. I'm an empath, and I have to be careful not to let the empathic ability reach into others' private space. Beautifully said, Teresa, but the bottom line is there is no privacy. There just isn't. Now, don't hang up. Don't click me off. When I approach a person, when it was bilocating, or now when it's remote viewing, or when I'm asked to read a person, if I get a wall of any kind, I stop. I respect that 100%. If the person does not have a wall up and is not restricting my entry, on some level, much higher than we understand, down here is the puppets, up here is the puppet masters. That's where I was coming from, guys, in the beginning. The puppet masters already have their communication going. They all communicate with each other. It's like, yeah, let that one in because it's going to be helpful for this, that, and the other thing. Those guys that are directing us down here have a better understanding of the whole picture. So on an unconscious level, we are inviting you in by not putting up a wall. Now, as an empath, yeah, you better be zipped up, baby, hooked up, and every other kind of thing that Donna Eden teaches for energy medicine, because you do not want to be picking up other people's stuff. My hair, Shauna, my hair stands up when I'm being cautioned to be on alert. It gets my attention. Something is wrong or off. Exactly. That's the universal one. You're seriously going off a bridge. Melissa, my greatest fear. I only meant it figuratively, sweetie. Um, so, so back to the intuitive footprint. What we want to do is pay attention. Let me see. It's in my book. Oh, maybe I can find the page real quick. What I have is a real simple drawing. Here it is. It's an outline of the body's images. Okay. There's female and male. And basically, what I recommend is when you're around, say, like if you can't make it to the class in South Philly on February 18th, um, and you're around a whole bunch of joy, say a whole bunch of kids running around a playground just laughing and giggling and screaming in joyful way. Relax, center yourself, and just ask, where do I feel this energy on my body? And notice where you feel it. Then, you have a couple copies of these, make lots of them, and you mark it. And you mark where you are, what's going on at a playground, sunny afternoon, children playing, felt the tingling in my right hand, and you mark it. Then the next time you have the opportunity to be in a real joyful, celebratory situation, say the Eagles win the Super Bowl, there'll be a lot of joy in my house that day. You would then test it again. Where do I feel this joy on my body? And notice it might be in a different place or it might be in the same place. You want confirmation. You want to get the same place often. And then you can say that's the place. Now, if you're in whenever you then get that tingling, you know that that is joy. Or if you got the tingling and it was representation of anger, you know that is anger. Again, it's going to come in different places for different people. Teresa, thank you. I'm glad you're finding this very helpful. Joelle, why did I keep seeing 9/11 day and night? This has been going on for years. Okay, so I want to answer that, but I want somebody else to answer it. I know I'm going to give you an answer. Absolutely, I promise. But let's just take a moment. Guys, there's enough of you out there watching. Just take a moment and say, it is my intention to help Joelle. Why does she see 9/11 day and night for years? And throw up some answers, guys. I would love to see it. I'm going to talk a little bit more and then we're going to jump back and see if anybody threw anything up there. But I will definitely answer what I got immediately. But I want you to do this because the more you experience, the easier you see intuition is. Intuition starts with imagination. Imagination is the doorknob. Make pretend, make it up. Imagination. Put your hand on that doorknob right now. Turn it, open it up, and look for the answer. Just say, okay, what could it be? Okay, anybody going to throw something out there? Time of day or the Twin Towers? Great. I'm in agreement with you there, Melissa. I do believe that it has to do with the towers. Jolene, to me, what you're being told is pray for us, pray for us, pray for us. A lot of people don't still remember 9/11. It's like, for some reason, I love the Jewish religion and the Jewish people. They will not let us ever forget the horrific stuff that happened during World War II, the Holocaust. They remind us continuously because we don't want it to ever happen again. But for some reason in our culture in the United States, it's like, oh, don't even talk about it. September 11th comes and goes and you barely hear anything about this atrocity. So it's important, it's people forget to pray for these guys. How many of them How many people were lost that had nobody to pray for them? They're reaching out to you. That 9/11, at least that's how I'm interpreting it, and that's how I felt immediately. And I'm happy that I got Melissa in agreement with me because it's giving verification. It's always good to have that extra bit showing that we're all pulling from the same source. They want you to pray for them. So, whatever your spiritual practice is, light a candle for their souls. Help them move along. Just because it was years ago doesn't mean that they all made it across into heaven. There are countless souls that wander around in need of prayer to get across because they just don't understand what's going on for them. I do mix a lot of spirituality in with my intuition talk. Do you need a strong spiritual background? No. But do I recommend it strongly? Yes, because it keeps you safer. If you don't understand spirituality, when you're out in that intuitive paranormal world, there are bad things. So without a structure to stand on, without a foundation of right and wrong to stand on, you can get into a lot of trouble. So, Joelle, yes, I thought that and I remembered that day like it was yesterday. Every day when I glance at the clock, it's 9/11. Every day I thought maybe that would be my first time of, would be my time of death. You know, it might be. I mean, if that's your instinct, then it might be. You can even create that to be the case if you really believe it. But I don't think God's interested or these spirits are interested in telling you what time you're going to die as much as can you help us. Teresa wants to know if you know anybody who passed in 9/11, which is interesting because that person might be reaching out or it just might be the general caring that you have for the people. Melissa, are we supposed to light a lavender colored candle in remembrance of the dead? You light whatever color candle that speaks to you. Lavender is a beautiful color. Purple is used during the Easter season. It's rebirth. Absolutely, if that's what speaks to you. Could be white, could be green, could be multicolored. It doesn't really matter. It's the intent. It's the intent of doing it because the intent is the energy that you're pushing forward. It's what you're moving out into the world. It's not the candle per se, but the intent you have when you're lighting it and the prayer that you're saying. That makes the difference. And Jolene said, no, she doesn't know anyone from 9/11 personally. Okay. I had a great time. I really did enjoy this. I do miss my partner. She will be back next week. She's with family this week. We did say that we would do different classes, sort of like we did tonight. You guys gave us loads of suggestions. Next week, we're going to speak about angels. Again, angels, I had this awesome teacher. I've gone to many of his classes. I think I've read all of his books. I've done online work with him. John Van Alkins, and he teaches the Kabbalah, which is the mystical side of Judaism. And the way they talk about angels and break it down can be like extremely overwhelming, but I'm going to try to simplify it and explain it from that point of view. And I have no doubt Chris is going to explain it from her personal relationship with angels, especially ones like St. Michael. She's very, very close to them. Let me just see. I want to make sure we got everything covered. So the question about, is the house haunted or is it my imagination? Intuitive footprint. If you know your intuitive footprint, you will know whether or not there are other spirits present. You will know what kind of spirits they are. You will know whether it's haunted or not. You will know whether it is really nothing going on in that long, dark hallway that you walk down as you go to the bathroom in the middle of the night, or is it really something looking at you? You know, you'll be able to pick it all up as you practice and create your own intuitive footprint binder for yourself. I would love, love, love for this show to sell out right away because there is only 50 seats total. So let's get it sold out tonight, guys, so you don't have to hear me speak about it anymore. It's intuition.com. Go to events for February 18th. Click it on. You can register. And Chris and I will be reading the room in addition to giving you actual hands-on experience of an intuitive footprint. Once again, the book was Russell Targ, Limitless Mind. Great book. His book plus my books are both available on Amazon and on Barnes & Noble. His book's available in more places, I'm sure. I'm kind of done unless somebody wants to throw up another question. Aside from 9/11, Jolene situation, I am having a rough time. I lost my job in October. My son is in troubled teen, and my daughter lost her job. I need some positive vibes, please. You got it, sweetie. So everybody who's watching, take a moment when the show is over, or even now, and just send some love and prayers. That energy is felt. Circle Jolene and her family, embrace them with love, and ask for protection. Teresa, I'm really hoping to meet you in February. Yay, I hope so too. My 3-month-old is ready to eat, so this mama has to go. Have a beautiful rest of the night. Thank you so much for joining us, honey. I'm glad that you did. I love babies. Nothing better. All right, guys. Thank you again for joining us. I keep saying us as if Chris is still here or she's here in spirit. Next week's all about angels. I promise you it will be really exciting. Bring your angel questions along. And if you do come to the live show, bring your dead family relatives along. Invite them because we're going to be able to pick them up and tell you what's going on. And other than that, thank you. Please share the show. Share, share, share. We do love getting this message out there. Oh, Gina, since today is my birthday, are there any messages from my parents or Uncle Joe? Today at work, I heard How Deep Is Your Love by the Bee Gees, and I always heard that going into Celebies for pizza as a kid. So I'm hoping for a message. Okay. You know what, guys? Happy birthday, Gina. I'm going to give Gina a message from her relatives, but we have 10 minutes before the show is up. I don't want you to just listen to the show. I want you to get active with this show. So everybody who's still alive, take a break. Just clear your mind for a second. Close your eyes if it helps. I shrink my personality. I move myself to the back. I kind of put the little me on a bench in my head. And now I open up to Grace. And I just ask, what messages are there for Gina from her loved ones? I'm not going to throw anything in. I'm going to give everybody a chance and then I'll speak. So, guys, if anybody has picked up anything for Gina, let's get it in there. And if you want, you can even do it after the show. I know she would appreciate it. All of these comments you can comment to yourself. Okay, I'm going to jump right in. You mentioned the pizza. So I'm picking up something with the pizza, but I'm afraid it's because I read it and I want to. So I'm just taking an extra minute to verify what I'm getting. All right. So I'm seeing Uncle Joe with a cowboy hat on, like a little kid cowboy hat, almost being funny. That's his way of saying, this is me. She would recognize me doing something like this. And he's expressing a great deal of love. But there's an older woman up there who is dressed very traditional, like she's in a black kind of dress with kind of a shawl. like very old Italian, old, you could be old Lebanese, but with that name, you're not Lebanese. So, like the old Italian ladies would look. And she's just like, she's rocking, not because she's upset, but because that's how she believes you will remember who I'm speaking about. Um, she's, I don't believe she's your grandmother. Um, I believe she's probably your great grandmother, and you do have a small memory of her, and she too is sending a great deal of love. And your grandfather is pushing his way up front. Now, I know your grandfather, so I knew your grandfather. So I know this is your grandfather by the way he looks, with the hat, um, the cigarettes. Oh God, I can smell cigarettes and taste them terribly now. Ooh, I forgot he smokes so much. And he too is overjoyed and happy to see you and wishes you a happy birthday and lots of love. So, well, you got lots of birthday wishes. Oh, that's Mary, who lives next door to my grandma Helen. Oh, she lived next door. That's so great. So Mary's sending you lots of love too. I'm glad that I was helpful. Let's see. Shauna says, I'm getting the closer to finding a love and a relationship. Am I getting closer? Okay, I thought you were answering Gina's question. Okay, listen, we have 5 more minutes, so I am going to just take some general questions like these. But I would love you guys to throw in some answers too. Okay, Shauna wants to know if she's getting closer to finding a love and a relationship. I'm still getting March, Shauna. Something will break around March. Uh, Jolene, Nora, one last thing. I never got over the death of my grandmother. I cried to her all the time. I also lost my aunt suddenly on 1/5/97. Her 21st anniversary just passed. Are they watching over me and my family? I hurt so much over this loss. Okay. Uh, so, Jolene. Okay, I'm hearing that you are, feel guilt about their passing, almost like you were not complete in what you needed to say, um, and that is what's causing you so much sorrow. And I'm hearing, like in unison, almost like a choir, please tell her we love her, we know everything, and everything is fine. There's nothing that was needed to be said that wasn't said during our life. And anything that you felt was not communicated was communicated. Um, I know you said you lost your aunt suddenly. Your grandmother's the one now who's saying she doesn't think I know how much she loves me and I love her. Um, she's the one who's more concerned about the communication, the grandmother, than the aunt, even though the aunt died suddenly. The aunt is, both of them just have nothing unsaid, and they want you to let it go, whatever it is that you don't feel is said, that you needed to say will be heard. I hope that helps, honey. And Gina's just confirming it's Rosie's mom, my great grandma Mary. Great, I love getting confirmations. All right, Teresa, I got an older male with a round face and a cap smoking, big grin on his face. I hope that was for Gina. That might be her uncle, because her grandpa always wore a hat. Always wore a hat. I don't know if I ever saw him with uh, a cap. Oh no, you know what? He used to wear a cap too, and boy, could he smoke. That's great. I'm so happy you jumped in. You're welcome, Shauna. Glad we could help. And Shauna got for Jolene, it feels like you haven't given yourself time to grieve. You don't seem to be letting yourself experience emotions you're holding on to. That is sometimes the case. But everybody's grieving is in their own time. Some people will take years, but often it's because you feel there was something unsaid, also, like these spirits are saying. Okay, guys, it's 3 minutes up. So, okay, Laura, you got in under the wire. Any messages for me from my grandma? She passed January 15th of last year. Or anything for direction. Still no job and no significant other yet. It's coming, honey. It really is. It's coming. Okay, guys. Grammy for Laurie. For Laura. Excuse me. Uh, I have a lot of discomfort in the right hand side, lower part of my abdomen. And I almost feel like blood taste in my mouth. So these are intuitive footprints, guys, by the way. I am not pulling this. These are coming to me. I'm just feeling the subtle energies. That's how her spirit is communicating to me. That is how she's letting me know it's her. But it's also coming across with a tremendous amount of love. Um, she just wants you to know how much she loves you, honey. There's no she's also concerned about your concern over finances. Like, but she's saying, don't get an ulcer. Don't let it bother you that much. Everything is lined up. Everything is working the way it should be working. She's telling me end of February, things will start to move the way you want them to move. Do not settle for the trinket job. Make sure you go for what you are capable of and have studied and are brilliant about. Those are her words. Okay, I hope that helps, sweetie. Uh, all right, guys, I will do my best to get the rest of the questions that came up afterwards. I wish you all the very best. Thank you again for being so generous as to share your time with me and with Chris. We look forward to seeing you all next week. And remember, share, share, share.